What's up, YouTube fam? Back at it again with the Project Kx250f, the 2014. Guys, I am going to be today tackling this front end, which is just leaking seals. We're going to replace the head tube bearings. We're going to replace all the cables. I got brand new cables, thanks to our guys over at All Balls. So I got new throttle cables and clutch cables here. So we're going to replace those. We're going to rebuild the forks, and we're taking off these front wheels, and I was going to save them, but I decided last minute against it. I was going to just get them repowder coated and powder coat the hubs and get new spokes in it, but I decided not to because the rims do have a couple flat spots. The rear is pretty dusted. The spokes are warped, so the wheel set's basically done. It needs a new spoke kit, and instead our boys over at RockyMountainATVMC.com, they're hooking up a wheel set. So I'm gonna get the bike ready, get it torn down, and get it ready for all these parts that are coming next week, because next week's gonna be here before we know it. Leaving for Anaheim 2 tomorrow, so I don't have a lot of time. Plus I'm gonna be doing a live stream with Tyler tonight, but you guys will see that before you see this video. But anyways, let's get moving, huh? So first things first, just gonna remove the front wheel. I have the bike kind of tied down so it doesn't rock forward when I take off the front wheel and get all the front weight off the bike anyways, because I got to get the forks off too. I got to get the triple clamps out so we can get to those head tube bearings, and just trying to be gentle because I don't want something to fall. It shouldn't, but gravity has a way with dirt bikes somehow, right? So there's the front wheel. Oh, there's a spacer. Straightforward. Just gonna take the forks out, start cleaning them up, start disassembling the forks, because yeah, we got a blown fork seal on the brake side, which is these are, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, I'll get to that in a second, but these are the SFF forks, which is separate function fork. And so you have one side that's a spring, and one side that is not. And the fluid side on this side right here is the one with the leaky seal. But our boys over at Pivot Works sent over an entire fork rebuild kit that includes the bushings, all the seals, everything to get these things back to brand new. I'm going to check out and see what Pro Circuit did to the inside of the fork, see if they did any cool valving or anything that I want to leave. I'm not too worried about spring weight because it's not going to be my primary bike. I got my RMZ for that, but I'm going to have lots of YouTube fam riding it. My boy's going to be riding it, so I'm not too worried about spring rate, but I do want to see if they did any trick stuff inside. So let's get these forks off. We are going to be doing both fork legs, but I wanted to show you guys. That's all fork oil all over. And you know, one of the things I love that Kawasaki does, they do the coating on the tubes stock. So I think that's way rad. So we want to break off these fork protectors, and then we're going to need to take a look at the tubes and hope to God there's no scratches in them, because those scratches in the coating could cause a seal failure. And this stuff, man, this is just full of beach sand. Full. So not good, not good. Let's break these down. All right, we got our fork all chalked up. This thing's a mess, guys. So let's get all this beach sand oil mix off. Because that will just reintroduce right back into the new stuff that we're going to put on this thing, and then all that, you know, work that we put in would be for nothing. So it's one of the things I really like to do with everything that I work on. I mean, just get it as amazingly clean, like almost spend as much time cleaning it as you are going to be working on it. Like, seriously. the long term, it really helps out. Makes cleaning after you're done with it even easier, and it just keeps it from reintroducing dirt or grease, oil, you know, something that's gonna hurt it again. And I mean, these are dirt bikes. I'm not losing track of the fact that these are dirt bikes. And that's what they do. They ride in mud, they ride in dirt, they ride in sand, they ride in everything all day, sometimes several days in a row. And they are made to do that to some degree. And to keep them in tip-top running order, you really got to stay up on cleaning on these things. It's almost like a gun. It really is. For you out there who know about guns. More often than not, you'll spend more time cleaning a gun than shooting it because of just the residue it leaves behind, and it can really mess up the mechanisms inside the gun. So you keep those things lubed up and as clean as possible, and then they don't break on you or fail on you. Same thing, you know what I mean? So right now on this side of the fork, I am not seeing any damage to the coating, which is great, but most of the time it happens to the back because it rocks that fling up. So we'll take a good look at the backside coating here. I see a little rock ding right there. Usually you could pass your fingernail over it, and if you could feel it tick, 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 you know, like catching your nail, then that's not good. I'm not feeling that one. So these are just superficial scratches. So that's good. Because this coating, if you guys were to get these things recoated, it's not cheap. And probably the better way to do that would be to go to eBay or a cycle salvage of sorts that has the forks and buy them used, because you don't want to get these things coated again is big money. I'm not sure, one of you guys could probably tell me down in the comments below, the coating on these, I can't remember if this is Kashima or if this is just a hard anodize or if this is black oxide. I don't think it's black oxide though, because that's like what they put on tools. But I think it's DLC, which is diamond-like coating. It's really, really hard, very slippery. Again, I'm just really wiping the tubes down clean here so I can check. I see some definite rock dings, but none of them are catching my fingernail. So we're probably good. So basically, if you did have a rock ding that is catching your fingernail, that could rip the new seal that you're about to put in. So that's no go. We don't want to do that. So I'm pulling down this is just a dust seal right here that comes down first. And then there's a little clippy in here that's not seated all the way. Imagine that. And that pops out like that. No big deal, no big deal. So from here, the best way is to remove the top cap. I'll show you the top cap tool. You guys like my soft clamps? I do have the aluminum inserts for them, but I actually find that wrapping them in a few rolls of like Gorilla Tape is, or in a few times around with Gorilla Tape, actually does less marking than the aluminum soft clamps. Either that or I was doing it wrong. And plus these kind of grip a little bit more. So this is top clamp tool. This is a Tusk. You can get these at RockyMountainATVMC.com. You can see there's two different shapes right here, a square and then kind of like octagon-ish, hexagon-ish, shape. And that is for taking out the center chamber. We're not going to do that right now. Right now we're just going to relieve the cap like this. That wasn't very tight either. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So take off the cap. Just push it up to make sure that it moves nice and freely. Usually on like a spring fork, you would see a spring collar right here. And then you would see a spring kind of wrapped around this. And so no spring because that's on the other side. We're going to get to that side. I'll probably just end up just showing you this one because this isn't a rebuild video. This is a build video. But anyways, I'm going to get these cleaned up. We're going to put in our brand new PivotWorks forks, PW fork rebuild kit. Yeah, with bushings and seals. And this fits 13 to 19 Kx250f and 13 to 15 RMZ250, 13 to 14 RMZ450. So they're used in quite a few different models. But so in our kit on PivotWorks, got the O-rings for the top chambers, more O-rings, bushings. These are cool. They give you the outer protective rings that your fork guards ride over. I think that's cool. And of course, fork seals, spacers, oil seal. We got inner bushings, outer bushings. This thing's gonna be a brand new fork by the time we're done. So I'm gonna spend a little time getting this thing a little bit cleaner, dump what's left of the oil out of it, and get this thing rebuilt along with the other side. And then we'll pull that head tube out, change out those bearings, which is never fun, but necessary, and I'll see you there. Well, we got the whole head tube all pulled out. We got the new races put in, the new bearings on the base, which I tell you what, guys, that's not easy. New upper bearing, seals, and I actually almost forgot the seal that goes underneath this bearing, so it's a good thing I saw it. And but I got the triple clamps all clean. Fork seals are all done. It's time to put this thing, get this head tube back together. Alright, so inside of our PivotWorks bearing kit, they give us some PivotWorks grease, which is nice because sometimes you just don't even know exactly what grease to use. And it's got a nice little seal on it so it doesn't spill all over the place. And it just looks like a ultra red, high impact, grease, high temp. We're going to put a generous amount on it and wipe it around the new bearing. This bike's going to be like brand new, guys. Like seriously, it's so rad because I've obviously gained quite a bit of Kawasaki's in my collection, and one that I truly wanted even before I got this was I wanted a nice 250f in the stable. Something new and fresh that's going to last a long time, that's going to be a good bike. And I'm stoked because this thing's long term just going to be great. And I'm not going to have any question if things like steering head tube bearings are going to blow out or whatever, So bottom bearing's greased. Grease the upper one, which is a little easier to do. You just want to put on a good generous amount because they give you actually quite a bit inside the bearing, the grease pack itself. So you do want to saturate these really good. Make sure you could look inside too and see the rollers. Make sure it's getting through all the rollers because this thing actually goes through quite a bit of pressure. You guys wouldn't believe just riding. These things go through some pretty gnarly loads, and you got the whole cantilever system of your front end that's always working the head tube. The frame's a solid entity, the forks, and it's always prying against these things. So it's not uncommon to detonate head tube bearings and you get really notchy steering feel. And at that point, you get in danger of your steering locking. I've heard of it before. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it before. And I don't want that to happen. I need to get some for my hands. That'd be terrible. Have your steering lock up on you right when you're headed towards something like a cliff. Just go shooting off the cliff. That'd be fun, huh? So, alright. Got our top one in. Get our seal ready because I need to immediately tighten this stuff. This top cap seal. And put my stem nut right here. Alright. There we go. a little bit here. I'm actually going to cut out a video. Tyler Antic-Knapp is on his way over here, guys, and we're going to do that live stream. If you're following on Instagram at LundMX or following Tyler, then you know that we've got a live stream going down in which we're going to talk about the season so far and our plans, how we're going to make the main, and it should be really entertaining. So if you're watching this but you didn't see the live stream, go back and check out that live stream, because the live stream is gonna be up before this video, obviously. Oh man, that feels nice and tight. New bearings, let's go. And kind of how you set these things, it's a little bit. You get yourself a good set of channel locks is fine, but they do make a special wrench for these uppers here, but you don't need a lot of torque to do this. So you clamp this on this upper nut and you turn the clamp, and then you still want it to be smooth, because these bearings, they will set in a little bit more. They'll clamp down. You'll have to go back and tighten this one more time. So I'm going to go a little bit tighter than I usually do. And actually, I could feel it kind of setting the more and more I tighten it. So that's good. And then we kind of wait, or we get it so it's like very difficult to turn this bearing here, or the stem here. And then we back it off just a smidge. Still feels really smooth. I don't know if I get much tighter than that though. That feels pretty, like, I can feel it's just a little too much drag. So now I'll back it off just a tick. And then that's nice and smooth, and that will definitely be good for the long term. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to clean up this top clamp. So you guys can see it's nice and dirty and rusty and full of beach sand and all that other good stuff. So I'm going to get this top clamp cleaned up, get that on there. Then we can put our freshly rebuilt forks in. So this thing's going awesome. So it's Thursday. I'm still home because press day for Anaheim 2 got rained out. So a little good, a little bad in that, but we'll take it, because that means I get one more day of beautiful working on the Kx250f. Let's do this. Of course, this morning I woke up to a beautiful delivery from our homies at RockyMountain-ATVMC.com. Let's go, guys. That's so cool. I started to unbox it because I'm just so pumped about it. So I figured I would stop, grab the cam, and let's see what we got for the project here. So, new rear brake line in this awesome flow green. It's gonna go good. Matching front brake line. Come on. Got a bunch of bling items. Some what do you call these things? They're caps. They're caps for the bead lock. And for these beautiful rims, which we'll unbox here in a second. Got a case saver. All Tusk stuff, dude. If you guys don't use Tusk, this is some actually really high quality stuff at a really affordable price. I highly recommend you guys check this out if you haven't already. And besides, the finish on this stuff, the Anno Blue, come on. Let's seriously, guys, let's go here. Rear cap. So that's a front brake reservoir, rear brake reservoir cap. New rear brake pedal, and I needed this thing direly because the toe piece on mine was getting pretty jiggly, and the hole where the bolt goes through to the frame was getting a little ovalized. Same thing with the clevis where it hooks up back here was really starting to get ovalized. So new brake lever is so welcome here. Matching shift lever for the other side, which we'll put on the engine here in a second. We got timing cover plugs. Oil filler cap, because if you guys remember, mine is pretty dusted. So, stoked about that. It'll look nice and new. Oh, I love these right here, boys. Oh my goodness, I gotta take one out here. Check out these Tusk billet foot pegs, guys. Like, and they're so light. They're so light. Huh, left side. That way I don't get it mixed up. Oil filter. Send me 2 of those for break-in and first oil change. We got some adjusting blocks for the rear wheel. Got a chain, gold-plated chain, master link. Last but not least, the top stem nut for the triple clamps. So we got hooked up by Rocky Mountain. Thank you to you guys over there at RockyMountainACVMC.com. I really appreciate you guys hooking up all the Tusk primary drive components. This is going to make the build so much nicer. It's going to make it look so much better, and the performance is going to be just as good as it looks. Stoked on these new brake lines, guys, too, because the other ones were getting kind of squishy. When you pull on the brakes, they were getting kind of spongy. So now, let's check out these wheels. I already know what they look like. You guys have no idea what they look like. Pumped. Yeah. There we go. You guys are seeing it first time with me here. So I got a lot of work to do today before I leave, but that's all right. Oh, I see it. Oh, I see the beautifulness. Angle the camera here for a second. Boys. These are spacers. Cool. Oh. For real though, the Tusk impact rims on beautifully powder coated white hubs, black spokes, polished nipples. Guys, this is gonna be so sick. Oh, I'm so excited about that. There's our rear. Got black spacers. Cool. Front and rear. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, guys, I'm so excited to get these things laced up with the new tires, the new tubes and bead locks. I did forget to order they have a Typhoon brake rotor kit. I forgot to order that. I might try to get that in because I love their Typhoon kits. They have a nice oversized front brake rotor, and gosh, man, I'm so pumped on those. Thank you, Rocky Mountain. Can't thank you guys enough. All right, guys, this isn't by no means my favorite part, but it needs to be done. We got to take out these linkage bearings out of here, check them out. If any are broken, we're going to replace them, and if they're good, we're going to re-grease them. But look at that. Now, I've seen online where people make guards. This is where the bottom of the shock connects, right here. So that thing saw a rock once upon a time, and the linkage barely won. Barely. So I'm going to take this all apart. I'm going to put it on time lapse so you guys don't have to gruel through it with me. But we're going to be using some waterproof bearing grease from Maxima to clean them out, or excuse me, to pack them back in and get these things like new again. Let's go. So far, the whole knuckle seemed to be almost like brand new inside, just being a little dirty and a little needing of grease. But the link This thing was a different story. This thing's actually got some hours on it. None of the bearings are cracked or chipped, but they're very dirty and definitely very dry of grease. So in this instance, all these needles that are part of the needle bearing system, you just want to clean these really good. Pack the journal in there with grease like this. Just run your finger along inside of it. And what that helps is when you start putting them back in, you know, you've got a greasy finger, grab a few bearings, put them in the channel, the grease will hold them in spot. I've seen a lot of guys try to put these in dry and they just move all over and fall out. Definitely easier to pack it with grease first and then start installing your needle bearings. So I'm going to get this done. I just got the swing arm left. Boys and girls, we got that all torqued down. The linkage is all torqued down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop in the bottom end, because I think it's easier to assemble the top end while the bottom end is inside the frame. It's easier to torque things down, and it's, I don't know, it's just easier to put things back together for that point for me. Sometimes when fitting in an entire engine into the frame, there's a lot of things you're going to hit and scratch. Might not be the case with this bike, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in the bottom end anyways and make it easier for me. I am really making this look harder than it actually is. I'm just trying not to scratch anything. I spent so much time cleaning and prepping everything. Boom shakalaka. She's in, boys. She is in like sin, as AVE would say. Love it. I've put in the lower motor mount bolt. That's the one. We're gonna put a little bit of grease on it. It's not a moving part, but you don't want it to freeze inside the engine and make it difficult to get out. So I'm just putting a light film and then pulling it down to the threads so we get grease inside the threads here. And I believe the nut was on this side. I'm not going to torque that down yet until I have all the motor mounts in, because I've done that before, and then you get some motor mounts that are not aligned all the way. Then you got to backtrack and do it again. Now get the rear shock in. You want to definitely grease your shock bolts, guys. Those ones go through a lot of stress. They go through a lot of pressure. So, and they do get stuck too if you don't maintenance them and keep them greased and clean. So it's important. Keep up on all your pivoting areas of the bike for sure. But I'm sure most of you guys knew that. So carry on. All about the bling. What do you think? Let me know down below. Alright, boys and girls, so here's a situation where I'm just stuck right now. Dunlop kicked down 2 brand new MX3S's, one of my favorite tires from them. The 33 is also a really great one. But they kicked down 2 tires to me for this project, but I got a 120/80/19. The front one's correct, an 80/121, but the rear is big. It's big for a 250. I think we're still going to send it anyway. It'll just be a little big for the power. It might bring the power down just a little bit, be a little bit more of a strain on the engine. Not massively, but ideally we want to go with the 110/90/19 on this. Alright fam, so we're going to be using this for the center strip of the tire. Instead of using the rubber band that goes around or duct tape or whatever, Motion Pro actually makes a strip material that this one's for a 19-inch wheel. It's really strong, and it is tape, but it has all the holes already pre-cut for your valve stem and for your bead lock. So that's kind of nice that, you know, all you got to do is just line up the holes essentially and let it rip, tater, chip. So we're going to start with this. Just trying to get the scotch tape off that holds it together. See what I mean? So it gives you a hole for the valve stem, but not for the bead lock. So we're gonna have to make one for the bead lock. Not a big deal. And so we'll line up and start our valve stem hole. We'll start there. Like that. Get centered. Just trying to keep it centered right now. It's not a big deal to create our own hole for the bead lock. It's really not a big deal at all. And boom. So after we get the strip in, there's an adhesive under it, and we just hit it with a heat gun. It'll zap it right down and form around the nipples nicely and adhere it to the rim. Like that. Alright guys, so got the new chain blocks here, the Tusk chain blocks. Obviously this one's notched for the stem side, not the nut side to go through. See the little flat pieces? That's where the nut's gonna go. I gotta say guys, the quality on these are amazing. They fit in the dropout nicely. There's like no play up and down in them. Really, really fits good. Robert's here helping me clean up, polish up the axle. Get all that beach sand and corrosion off of it. And I'm not going to mount it right now with discs and sprockets because I'm still waiting on those brand new. But I am going to get the wheels on here so it balances the bike better so I can get the front wheel on. And just keep building because I can always pull a rear wheel later and put on the disc and sprocket. So I think I'm going to be running a 1352 on this. Gets nice pop out of the corner, good snap on the throttle. So this is going to be a nice combo. 1351 or 1352, I can't decide.
Can't decide. Not sure which one. I think it look like new.
It does look like new. You did it.
Yeah.
I need more Scotch-Brites. Find like the last good one.
Find the here's one that's still got some life to it.
So I've shown in other videos, you don't need to put a lot of grease on it because contrary to typical belief, bearings sit on the shaft and the bearings turn on the shaft. They don't spin on the shaft where you need to pack the axle with grease. That's why there's bearings in the wheel. The wheel bearings are spinning on the axle here itself. Common misconception, people often goop up their axle really heavy with grease and then you see it coming out the end of their dropouts by their seals and stuff, and it's just totally unnecessary. You guys don't need to do that. All we got to do, this is just creating a layer so the bearings do not weld themselves to the axle, because I've seen that before and you got to pound it out with a hammer. But this axle is in good shape, so we're going to use it, grease it, put it in. That fits good. See how many times I knock out the spacers.
Not even once.
Boom diggity. Get the nut and spacer on. Front wheel time. Turn the bars when it doesn't have bars.
Turn the barlessness.
A smidgen of grease on there.
There it is. Oh, what you did.
I've actually used quite a bit of grease on this bike looking at how full that thing was.
Mm-hmm. Well, ever since the grease with the bearings attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was time for the grease.
Spacer knockout number 1. Of course he would call me right now. Nice and snug. So I want the axle coming out when I'm sending the 300 footers.
No. what they call that jump?
$1 million jump.
The $1 million jump.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Never heard of that before. It's a Travis Pastrana, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And this one has the nut that goes in a little bit, huh? It sucks into the, yeah.
Has a shoulder that fits in the lug.
Shoulder.
Brand new front end, man.
Yeah.
That head tube bearings, forks, wheels, engine. Suspension in the rear. Let's go. Well, boys and girls, this is where I'm going to leave the Kawasaki for the weekend until I get back from Anaheim 2. So I'm pretty pumped on the progress made today. Got a lot done. It's just so nice because everything's just so brand new in this thing, guys. It is, for all intents and purposes, going to be a brand new bike just with used frame and, you know, obvious hard stuff, but I'm really pumped on these Tusk products. They're super nice. I'm really excited to get this thing finished. Clean detail on the airbox, and look at all the sand, guys. It's really a bummer that this thing had to go through this, but we're gonna get it all clean. Man, it's a bummer. Beach sand just absolutely wrecked this thing, but we've brought it back better than new, better than brand new, and I'm so stoked, guys, that you guys have been with me on this journey. We still have a lot to do when I get back. We still have a lot of brand new parts in the box to do, and I still have a brand new cylinder head to go pick up. It's gonna be freshly rebuilt. Gonna have the cylinder coming this week. I'm gonna have, so I'll be able to get all the engine done, and then poor Suzuki's gonna stay dry docked for a while. But I'm just pumped, guys. Look forward to seeing some of you guys at Anaheim 2. It's going to be a great weekend, and at least I have something to look forward to coming home to and getting finished with, because I'm pumped to get this thing done on the ground and back on the dirt. All right, YouTube fam, I'm absolutely hammered. I did a lot today beyond even working on the project Kx250f. But I'm super pumped with how this thing came out, guys. This thing's gonna be Sweet. Obviously, I'm not building it to be some show bike. I know a lot of guys out there have done way better, like bikes in detail with really nice parts and really nice anodizing and, you know, powder coating stuff. But we're gonna ride this thing. We're gonna ride it till it's dead. And I want to make sure that I'm not gonna feel absolutely heartbroken if we crash or fall on it. So that's a big thing. And then obviously, you know, putting a lot of hours on something that has a lot of powder coating or paint or anodizing on it eventually is not going to look very good. So I kept it down to a minimum, although I am going to get some stuff Cerakoted. I'm actually meeting a guy this weekend at A2 about it. And so hopefully I'll be able to get some Cerakoting done on the brake master cylinders, brake calipers, both front and rear. So we're going to go with that. I need to hit up some other sponsors for some sprockets. I got everything else, guys. I need to get a plastic kit hooked up, and then graphics eventually. A lot of you guys have hit me up with graphic companies on Instagram, and I appreciate it. I just haven't come with my mind yet, like where I want to go, but I will hit up one of you guys for a graphics kit real soon here. I appreciate all you guys watching and staying up to breast with what's going on the project Kx250f. Tomorrow morning, Friday morning, Tyler and I leave for Anaheim. I got to leave here at 6 a.m., so I'm going to go hurry up, get this thing uploaded so I can go pack my clothes and everything, get my laundry done. So I love every single one of you guys from the shop, garage, whatever. This is Clint Lund with London X, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow night. Oh, shoot. That's coming hecka fast. And I'll see you at the races. Deuce.